Jesus Christ is the central figure of Christianity and is believed by Christians to be God himself who came into the world in human form. He is not only a prophet, a teacher, or a holy man, but he is the eternal Son of God who took on human flesh to save humanity. This belief is at the core of Christian faith. According to the Bible, Jesus existed before the creation of the world. The Gospel of John opens by saying, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Later it says, "The Word became flesh and lived among us." These verses teach that Jesus is the Word and the Word is God. Therefore, Jesus is God who came down to earth. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem to the Virgin Mary, it was not the beginning of his existence. He has always existed as God. His birth was the moment when God entered the world as a human being. This is called the Incarnation, God becoming flesh. Jesus lived a real human life. He experienced hunger, thirst, tiredness, pain, joy, and sorrow. He was tempted, yet he never sinned. Though he looked like an ordinary man, he was fully divine. His miracles, teachings, and actions show that he was not just a man, but God himself. Throughout his life, Jesus did many things that only God could do. He healed the sick, gave sight to the blind, cast out demons, and raised the dead. He calmed storms, walked on water, and fed thousands with just a few loaves and fish. These miracles were not only acts of compassion, they were signs of his divine power. He had authority over nature, sickness, evil spirits, and even death. These were not tricks or illusions. They were real and witnessed by many people. Jesus also forgave sins, which only God can do. In one story, he tells a paralyzed man that his sins are forgiven. The religious leaders were shocked and said that only God can forgive sins. Jesus then healed the man's body to prove that he had the authority to forgive sins as well. This was a clear sign that Jesus was more than a man, he was divine. Jesus made many statements that showed he understood himself to be God. He said, "I and the Father are one," which caused the religious leaders to accuse him of blasphemy. In another instance, he said, "Before Abraham was born, I am." By using the words, "I am," he was claiming the name of God revealed in the Old Testament when God said to Moses, "I am who I am." Jesus was not just claiming to know God, he was claiming to be God. His followers also recognized his divinity. After his resurrection, the disciple Thomas saw Jesus and said, "Ah, my Lord and my God." Jesus did not correct him. Instead, he accepted the worship, which would have been wrong if he were not truly God. The Apostle Paul wrote that in Jesus all, the fullness of the Godhead dwells in bodily form. The book of Hebrews says that Jesus is the radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of his being. The Bible is full of passages that clearly state that Jesus is divine. The most powerful expression of Jesus as God is seen in his death and resurrection. Jesus was arrested, beaten, mocked, and crucified. Though he had the power to stop it, he chose to suffer and die because he came to save people from sin. The Bible says that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Sin separates us from God, and the punishment for sin is death. But God, in his love, came into the world in the person of Jesus to take the punishment on himself. On the cross, Jesus took the sins of the world upon himself. He died in our place so that we could be forgiven. This act of sacrifice is the greatest proof of God's love. Jesus said, "A greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." But Jesus didn't just die for his friends. He died for sinners, for people who had turned away from him. His death opened the way for us to be reconciled with God. No other religion speaks of God dying for people. Only in Christianity does God humble himself to such an extent, taking on flesh, serving others, and dying for them. But the story does not end with the cross. 3 days after his death, Jesus rose from the dead. This is the most important event in Christian history. The resurrection proves that Jesus is who he said he was. Death could not hold him. His resurrection is the victory over sin and death. It is the guarantee that those who believe in him will also rise and live forever.